Hello YouTube and welcome to this new video on Honkai Star Rail. On today's program we are going through Pure Fiction of version 3.5 and of course this iteration is catered towards the newly released Cerydra. Although she came out a few days after this Pure Fiction dropped, as you can see from the current Pure Fiction buff, skill is the name of the game as using a skill will accumulate grit value. Now this is not just good for Cerydra but also for Anaxa who happens to be great with the Short Queen. But I do not have the Feeble Scholar, and I just got Cerydra, so let's talk about teams. Of course, as with any Pure Fiction, you want AoE damage dealers, and if at all possible, you want to tailor your team around the enemy's weaknesses. We have Physical and Fire for the first half, and Quantum and Ice for the second half. Nowadays, when we're talking about Physical, I of course think of Phainon, and it makes even more sense when he's basically the whole reason for Cerydra's kit. Technically speaking, Argenti is also physical and an AoE damage dealer, but I won't lie, my Argenti is not strong enough and, more importantly, there is no buff for ultimate damage, which is where most of Argenti's damage comes from. I thought of other teams that I couldn't test because I simply don't have the characters, but none of them were actually taking advantage of the buffs we can select, which by the way are quite simply summarized as Ballad is for Memo Sprites, Euphony is for dot teams, and Solo Symphony is for skill damage dealers. That being said, right before Cerydra came out, we got another physical character in Hysilens, and it so happens that there is a buff for dots, so I decided to give the good old-fashioned dot team a try with Black Swan, Kafka, Hysilens, and HoYoverse. That team managed to achieve a respectable 31,000 points, but I thought I could do better, and that is actually the reason why I'm so late with this video. Well, that and my neighbor's daily construction work noise, that certainly doesn't help. I mean, yesterday I waited the entire day for them to be done, and when they were, I couldn't record this voiceover anymore. Anyway, you're not here for my ramblings about my neighbors. The point I was making earlier before I interrupted myself is that I wanted to try more things, including Cerydra once she came out. But the fact is that I wasn't sure I would pull for her in the first place, so I had not really pre-farmed for her, but since she's the new best-in-slot support for my boy Phainon, I caved and I pulled for her. Among the variations, there was a Phainon team with Sunday, Bronya, and HoYoverse, which is pretty standard for Phainon with a sustainer, but unfortunately it only achieved 28,000 points. I then tried a sustainless Phainon by replacing HoYoverse with Robin, and it achieved a very nice 35,000 points. Finally, I replaced Robin with Cerydra, and at first it was quite difficult to get more than 32,000 points, which was somewhat disappointing. But as I kept retrying, I kept building her up and eventually got 36,000 points. Now there are a couple of things I need to mention about these runs and Cerydra specifically. I found her not that easy to play with as it was sometimes a bit difficult to line things up properly. What I mean by that is that sometimes when using Phainon in his first ultimate, I would be able to get 2 double skills. To be more precise, I would get 1 double skill right after entering his ultimate mode, then I'd use a normal skill and at the end I'd get another double skill. Of course, in between these skills I used counters so he'd have enough skill points to actually use the skills. The reason I could get 2 double skills is that when Phainon uses his ultimate for the first time in the fight, he will get 1 free charge of Cerydra stacks. So he'd start with 7 at the beginning of his ult, use 6 immediately for the first double skill, and then be left with 1 stack. This allows him to double skill a second time, as he'll have enough actions to get back to 6 stacks by the end of his ultimate. However, when using his ultimate for the second time, he will not get a stack of Cerydra's military might, which means that he'll start off at 6 stacks, use all of them with his first double skill, but then he only has 6 actions left, which means he'll get the 6th stack when using his last skill before ending his ultimate form. In other words, you can only use the double skill once he has exited his ultimate form, which is, well, kind of pointless. On top of that, by that point, the fight had ended. So my best guess is that when using his second ultimate, you want to try and get 7 points of Cerydra stacks so that he can have 2 double skills, but as I said before, it's kinda hard to line up everything perfectly. especially since you want to try and line up his ultimate form with the buff from the grit mechanic so he'll do even more damage, but you also want to line it up with Bronya's buffs, which only last for one turn on her skill. I think I probably need more time with Cerydra to figure out how to play her optimally. But at the end of the day, 36,000 points is more than good enough. One last thing to mention before we get into the second phase is one very annoying enemy during the third wave. Their name is the Black Tide's Corroded Axe, and let me tell you, it packs a punch. Basically, when you kill one of its allies, it will launch an attack called Fire of Vengeance, which has a crazy 1400% multiplier. Now, that damage is actually distributed evenly among all targets present on the field. But guess what? Phainon's all alone out there, so he eats that 1400% multiplier right in the face. It roughly deals about 1/3 of Ultimate Phainon's HP, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because these things managed to kill my Phainon. The most unkillable guy in the hood got destroyed by these axe-wielding creatures. Of course, he didn't actually die, but he did exit his ultimate form earlier because of that in several of my runs. All of that to say, watch out for these things and try to avoid killing their allies without killing them as well.
And guide you on your path. No other choice but for...
Lend me your strength.
Existence is of no consequence. A future will come. Fury of innumerable core flames consume me. You sun, tear the sky. Hail the new dawn.
It's now or never.
Quench the flames with blood. Is that all?
Back off. Formation!
Remember agony! You sun, tear the sky! Feel the scorching. Quench the flames with blood. Is that all?
It's now or never.
Is that all? Branded with strife. The flames are not strong enough. Hail the new dawn. I'll never yield to fate. Empty shell. You sun, tear the sky. All stars burn to ash.
To the defeat, your downfall is absolute.
Oh, it's broken. Now is not the moment to
Surrender.
pause.
In the second half, we have Quantum and Ice, as I've mentioned before, which means Castorice and Big Hurta's Playground. Either would work, but since I don't have the Puppet Master, I went with Castorice, Remembrance Trailblazer, Tribbie, and Hyacine. Other characters who could work well in this half are Jade, Mini Hurta, and Cyphera. Earlier, I mentioned Anaxa, and he can work in either halves, but given the fact that one of his best partners is Big Hurta, you might as well use them together in the second half. For this half, I am not going to yap a whole lot because there isn't much to say. The first time I tried Cassie and her team, I got about 36,000 points if I recall correctly, but as I retried the first half multiple times, I did the same with the second half and I was able to consistently get 40,000 points. For the first wave, you'll sometimes see me not use Netherwing's full breath attack. In other words, I stop using it before it would explode, and then I just use its basic attack, which is when it sweeps the battlefield with its hand. The reason for this is that I noticed that using 3 bars of Pollux's breath attack was enough to leave the enemies mostly dead, and that sweep attack was enough to outright kill them. That way, I wouldn't waste its explosion, which deals a significant amount of damage, on what essentially were just corpses. On top of that, I could keep it on the field, which means having its domain up so that my other characters could benefit from the 20% all-type res thread. Okay, Hyacine, Tribbie, and Remembrance Trailblazer aren't going to deal as much damage as Cassie, but I do feel like it's non-negligible. I've seen some 200k, 300k, and even 500k here and there. Moreover, had I blown up our dragon friend, I'd have to recharge Cassie to use her ultimate again, whereas this way I knew I could regenerate enough HP for the dragon boy to be able to use his breath attack once again. During the second wave, I stopped doing that because there was an elite enemy on the field which had a massive HP pool. It's basically the boss of the second wave, right? So the thing to note here is that Netherwing's explosion is a bounce attack, which means that each hit will affect one enemy on the field. However, when you're using the breath attack, it's usually enough to kill the small mobs on the side, which means that every bounce from the explosion will focus on the boss, or in this case, the second wave's elite. This is of course also the case of the third wave with the Flame Reaver boss. Well, not quite. The breath attack isn't always enough to kill the ads, but the bounce attack still won't be wasted on a bunch of dead things like it would've in the first half. Now, speaking of the Flame Reaver boss, honestly, it's a pretty good matchup for Cassie, because his ads are going to deal quite a bit of damage to your team, which Hyacine of course can help with, but more importantly, they are going to help Cassie charge up her ultimate for more dragon breath and more explosions. Anyway, as I've mentioned before, I've managed to hit 40,000 points multiple times with this team, so I don't think you can go wrong with using it. Since the next step will be the build section of the video, I shall hide myself and only appear for the outro at the end.
Embrace a new life.
Me.
Darkness with me. May death protect us!
Guide with the rainbow bridge. Show me the way.
I shall remember this warmth.
Suffering is eternal.
That hurts a bit.
May this dispel the gloom, restore the skies. Go! It's riding the west wind. Away we go! Have some sunshine.
I shall remember this warmth. Embrace a new life. May death protect us! As you wish.
This is being in sync?
Mimi!
Trust me, we can do anything!
Go! Mimi! Me.
Please cherish the wilt here. Embrace a new life. May death protect us!
Underestimating us will cost you! Huge news! It's coming! Riding the west wind! Away we go! The future is... So may the way!
Breaks over.
That hurts a bit.
I'm still here.
Min.
As you wish. Embrace a new life. May death protect us!
Score.
Trust me, we can do anything!
Go, go, go!
Suffering is eternal.
Me.
Wilt here. As you wish.
May this thing dispel the gloom, restore the skies.
I shall remember this word. Embrace a new life. May death protect us!
Have some sunshine.
Break's over.
It's riding the west wind. Away we go! Mimi! Gotta stop them here.
Just you wait.
So may the wait.
I shall remember this warmth. Wilt here. Embrace a new life.
Go, go, go!
May death protect us!
在我皮肉下交织成命运，扎根于烈火烧灼的龙心，磨砺今世做我的骨骼，放任飓风从口中挣脱，用传说重塑我，用疼痛重铸我。撕裂心海之方，万军雷霆的巨响，浩瀚星魂激荡，惊涛骇浪胸口，鲜血滚烫，淬炼出爪牙锋芒。我必身披星光，在囹圄中愿见响。撕裂心海之方，万军雷霆的巨响，浩瀚星魂激荡，惊涛骇浪胸口，鲜血滚烫，淬炼出爪牙锋芒。我必身披星光，在囹圄中愿至上。
And that was my clear of Honkai Star Rail's pure fiction of patch 3.5. If you found this video enjoyable or helpful in any way, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as it helps keep thee happy in Happy LTV. You can also leave a comment on how I could improve my runs or share how you cleared your pure fiction. If you want more story related content, I live stream on both Twitch and YouTube every Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 6 PM Central European Summer Time and every Saturday at 4 PM Central European Summer Time. On that note, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream.